If everybody else's life is more interesting to you than yours, then that's a problem. What if you're not Art Tatum? What if you're not Usain Bolt? What if you're not Albert Einstein? Where does that leave the rest of us? All you have to do is turn on the TV or look at social media, read the newspaper, and you will inevitably see a story about someone who is gifted achieving something extraordinary in their life. And it can seem as though real success and big achievements are out of reach for you personally if you are not gifted. But guess what? Most people are not gifted. This is just the truth of the matter. Most people are not gifted in the true sense, not where they're better than 99.9% of everybody else on the planet Earth. So the question today is, if you are not gifted, can you still produce results in your life? Do you need to be gifted to produce results in your life? Okay. And if you're not gifted, do you have to cheat? So before we get into that, I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce App, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I am also the youngest son of Bill Johnson, and I want you to stick around and listen to all of this. At the end of it, I want you to leave some comments and let me know exactly how you feel because I like to hear from you. I actually like to hear from you. Yes, you right there looking. I like to hear from you. Now, with that said, let's jump into this. You know, the media puts fantastical stories in front of us, of course, because they generate ratings and revenue. And it can seem that the world is filled with people with just extraordinary gifts, living these extraordinary lives. You turn on social media, and even regular folks are posting just the most extraordinary, like, tidbits of their lives to make it seem as though they are living that experience all the time, right? So everything is exaggerated and bombastic, and just there's just this big, like a bloatedness, right? In terms of the images that people present. And the media contributes to this on purpose, like I say, because it drives ratings. Now, it is true that there are some people who are truly gifted. Not everybody is, so like some people are actually gifted. You know, there is a very, very extraordinary pianist. He's dead and gone now, but his name is Oscar Peterson. If you've never heard of him, look him up. His music is not hard to find. You can check him out on YouTube. But Oscar Peterson is easily one of the greatest pianists who have ever walked the planet Earth. And he was not afraid of any pianist with the exception of one person. And that one person was somebody who was extraordinarily gifted on another level. His name was Art Tatum. Now, if you never heard of Art Tatum, information is out there. But he was kind of the early 20th century, and uh, he kind of predated Oscar Peterson, but they did actually know each other. So Oscar Peterson was basically a protege of Art Tatum, but Art Tatum was ridiculous. I've listened to Art Tatum many times. You can go back and hear the old recordings. And I'm telling you, I'm listening to him, literally hearing what he's playing, and it sounds impossible, even though I'm hearing it. That is the only man who ever intimidated Oscar Peterson. When I talk about gifted, see, this is what I'm talking about. People like that do exist, right? But they're very, very, very rare. So where does that leave the rest of us, right? What if you're not Art Tatum? What if you're not Usain Bolt? What if you're not Albert Einstein? Where does that leave the rest of us? Do we just give up because we're not gifted? No. we still have to do something with our lives. We still have to make some kind of progress. We have to produce some kind of results. Okay. Now, why do I talk about these extraordinary people? It's because, as human beings, we have a tendency to fixate on people who live extraordinary lives and achieve extraordinary things, right? We fixate on it, and then, we can get so caught up that we forget that our lives must be more interesting to us than the lives of other people. Okay. If everybody else's life is more interesting to you than yours, then that's a problem. So if you don't have any particular gift, it's okay. Give you an example. Now, I work out all the time, and you can see me. I'm not like, I would not call myself like impressive in terms of my physique. I'm decent. Like, I mean, I look okay, but I'm not like some of these people that you see, right? Especially if you look on social media or something. I mean, you just see some people who are ridiculous, right? That's not me. I have scoliosis. I'm not tall or anything. I'm not particularly strong, but I do what I can do, and it's produced results for me. That's my message for you today. If you ever doubted it, just look at me. I mean, like, especially when we're talking about working out. If look, let me just go off. This is just a small tangent. If you're not working out on a regular basis, maybe it's because you don't have the confidence that it's going to do anything for you, or that you can produce results, or that you can transform yourself, then I'm here to tell you that you're just lying to yourself, because I don't have any physical gifts over you or anyone else. I've got a compromised back, right? Basically a small guy. I mean, if I can get in there and make something happen, then what's your excuse? So no excuses. Give it a try and get it done. Now, with that said, let me go back to my main message. There's this thing that you have to do. I mentioned this last week. If you heard that message, you remember I talked about something called fail and learn. Fail and learn. It's a cycle, right? Fail and learn. What does that mean? It means that, the first time that you try something, you may not get it right. You may not succeed. A lot of times you won't succeed the first time, and you won't succeed the second time or third time. So you have to fail and learn. But every time that you fail, every time you come short, there's a lesson in that. Okay. And so you get a little bit better the next time, and a little bit better the next time after that. And at some point, you actually get pretty good at what you're doing, and you find some success. This is the approach that you have to take. Okay. If you don't have a gift, then the only thing that you can do is give it a shot, give it your best earnest effort, and keep at it. All right. Now, you notice in the title of this message, I mentioned something about not cheating, right? So I want to talk about that for a second. There's a professional wrestler, and he too as well has passed, unfortunately, passed when he was young, but his name was Eddie Guerrero. And some of you who maybe watched some wrestling a few years ago, you might remember who this guy is. But he said something that was very, very, like, at the time I thought it was hilarious, but then when I stopped and thought about it, I understood that he was saying something very, very deep. He said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And, I died laughing, but then I thought about what he said, and I realized that he was sending a very poignant message about the nature of people. You see, as human beings, we have a propensity to cheat. Like, if we think that we can cheat and get away with it, and that's going to get us the result that we are looking for, like, it's seductive for us as human beings. But my message to you today is, you don't have to cheat. That's a choice. You don't actually have to cheat, right? And understand that cheating has costs. It may not be a short-term cost, but cheating will have a cost. If you cut corners or something like that, there will be a cost. You see this with bodybuilders a lot, right? Because in bodybuilding, especially at the top level of bodybuilding now, it's like you basically can't be natural and compete. You have to inject yourself with chemicals. You have to take drugs. You have to be on steroids and all of these treatments just to be able just to be in the game with the other top level bodybuilders. But what you see a lot of times is later on in life, these people have health problems that are directly related to all of the abuse that they were putting their bodies through, basically cheating in order to compete. So I want to encourage you to look for ways to produce results in your life without cheating. You don't have to cheat. Like I said, look at me. Look at me. I'm like, I do the best I can. I got results. I didn't do all I do is just eat food and go work out and drink water, sleep. That's all I do. No chemicals, no shots, no treatments, no pills, no nothing, no none of that. Right? And I got results. Okay, so whether it's inside the gym or whether it's outside of the gym, I want you to think about, what you can do right now. Like, what's in your power right now that you can do? Stop dreaming about doing it. All right. And then what is that step that you can take right now? And don't get distracted. Don't get caught up and don't start worshiping these people that you see on television and social media and the newspapers who are, just achieving almost unbelievable things. Like, at some point, you have to set that stuff aside and refocus on your own life. Okay. And ask yourself, what can you do right now to produce results? And then actually start, follow through. Okay. So that's my message for you today. You don't need to be gifted to produce results, but you do have to start. You do have to follow through. You have to be persistent. Okay. You don't need to cheat. So with that said, I want you to take this with you. Talk to you next time.